Mets fans out there, condolences.
Sorry.
But
But you showed up
November.
today. I'm not sure.
All right. Can we take attendance, please?
Sure.
Second.
Anthony Amato.
Here.
Valerie Anderson. Here. Alan Brown. Gregory Kava.
Here.
Rebecca Devine, I'm here. Michelle Gora.
Here.
Emily Hibbard.
Here.
James Hirschfeld.
I'm here.
Jennifer Cody. Here. Michael Sinatra.
Here.
Peter Tagley. And Mike Vacancy.
All right, thank you. So we have, just Alan as we see this time. Opportunity for the public to comment on agenda items. Anyone who wants to address us? All right, seeing no one, I'll move on. Consent agenda, item 3. Approval of minutes, Education Committee meeting October 19, 2015. Anyone who desires to remove anything from the consent agenda? Seeing no one, and the consent agenda is approved. Report of the chair. I wanted to congratulate the boys cross-country team, both the first year league and the Class S state championship. Congratulations to them and all their hard work. Their coach, Tom Scarola, they're obviously an excellent team. They're always very competitive every year. And all the sports teams that just finished their seasons. There was a lot of good seasons, a lot of good play in all the boys and girls teams. So congratulations to all of them. Working hard to keep up the Chappaq name. So I appreciate that. And the referendum is coming up. Remind people to vote at the referendum on the Ag STEM next week, November 10th. And we hope we have a good turnout for that. All right, moving on to superintendent's report. Dr. Costa.
Yes, I have a couple of things to talk about tonight. First of all, I just want to let you know that pre-vote, just in case, we are starting to do some work. Don O'Leary has been working with Eversource, and they are very happy to participate with us in building the new Ag STEM Academy, if it comes to be, where we would be part of a new program on energy, tell you what it is, mall lighting project. They're determining the rebate opportunities right now. They've offered the services of Eversource as energy consultants at no cost. They'd be part of the project from the start. They would work with us with the architect to determine what systems would be best, dealing with best practices, best energy efficient solutions, helping make selections of equipment to meet efficiency goals. So we're really excited about that, and this is a new program. And we'll be one of the first schools to take part in it, so we're very excited about that. So we're really hoping for good things. Mr. Geeson sent you a letter through Debbie in your packets online about What Will Our Children Lose, which is a collaboration of 6 organizations from the state, including CASBO and the Superintendent's Association, to really talk about what's going to happen if the governor makes cuts to public education. So I wanted to let you know that we do have a voice in Hartford, and we really are participating. For those of you who remember, Frank LaBanca is my and Mike's colleague. We have our doctorate together, and he is the principal of the West Side Academy in Danbury, where the kids will be coming to us as a feeder school, and he's going to be working with our teachers for science staff development and PD. So we're very, very excited to build that relationship with Danbury and Frank. I think that's going to be really very successful for us.
What's the name of that school?
It's the West Side Academy. Might be Magnet in there too, I'm not sure, but it's the West Side. It's in Danbury. You have in front of you the flyer that's going to the post office tomorrow. It's our last official flyer. Okay, I think it's a good presentation of the Ag STEM program, and worked very hard on this. Michelle, myself, Karen Files, and we're really proud of it, and we're hoping that people get out to vote. So we're excited about that. People should get that in the mail this week. And out there, if you're listening, if you don't get it, let us know because, we send it to all of the homes and sometimes people don't get it and we do like to let the post offices know if you don't receive it. Board members, some of you are coming to the Caves Convention, so we're excited about that, but they are also offering on December 9th at the Sheraton Hotel in Rocky Hill, one-day board workshops. So if you're interested, please feel free to do that. I want to let you know that Bob and I went to the grand opening of the new bus office, All-Star Transportation. It's beautiful, has 2 bathrooms. They didn't have bathrooms. They had porta potties. Can you imagine? Very sad. So they really have a beautiful new place. So they're very happy. So we're very excited about that. Yesterday, yes, Kim Gallo and I and her granddaughter and my nephew went to the Roxbury Tractor Parade. Just one of the best parts of my job is being in those parades. But anyway, we had loads, we really do. We had loads of candy. And parents, not me, parents put all these little stickers on the chocolate as we threw them at people. And as my nephew would say, cannonball. So unfortunately, there were only 3 left. So I'll pass them. And maybe you'll be a person who can eat it. But I don't, there are only 3.
No, don't eat them, we want to save them.
Yeah, so we're really excited about that. And I have one other thing just before Mrs. Gallo goes. So this is pretty exciting. This is from the D-Ball Foundation. I received this today. It says, Dear Mr. Hirschfield.
You have one you read
No, I'm going to read it. I'm going to read it.
it? Go ahead.
The D-Ball Foundation Incorporated is pleased to pledge a grant to assist in the establishment of a new agri-science and technology educational program at Chippewa Valley High School in an amount not to exceed $1 million. Oh my gosh! Okay. This grant is contingent upon the approval of the program by the Region 12 towns of Roxbury, Washington, and Bridgewater. Conditions on the disbursement of the grant will be discussed when the program has an approved vote. The grant is also contingent upon the receipt of the remaining funds for the project. We will not disperse funds until we receive verification that you have received the other funds. Yours truly, Dudley G. Evo, President. So, that's pretty good news, don't you think?
Yes, it's spectacular.
That is, thank you. I mean,
I simply can't remember a donation from a private citizen to this region since I've been.
this is unbelievable. And you know what?
Well, they've supported the.
Oh, I know the people have, and probably over time, maybe, I don't know how much it's been, but I know they have.
Yes.
This is incredible.
So it's incredible, and it's also, it's wonderful to get that support from the foundation, from this community, these communities, and so hopefully that will translate to everyone else. So I am literally shaking,
Yes.
and I kept the secret. I was going to call my sister. I said, no, my sister might call this one now, and I somebody find out. Didn't call anybody, but thank you.
Thank you
Dudley
to the people.
Foundation. Can you imagine?
This was received today.
This was received today in the middle of my meeting here at about 4:30 p.m.
Can we have a motion to thank the graciousness of the Diebold Foundation for this incredibly generous grant, and that we definitely it will definitely improve the lives of the children of Region 12.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstained? Thank you very much, each of you. Michelle.
I'm sort of speechless
sure it's gonna reduce the bond by $1 million.
No, how
No,
would
it's-
it work?
Let's see.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
You know what, we don't have to go into the.
Let's not
Right,
focus on
that's
that.
right.
That definitely does not do.
No, but I'm just thinking, I want to share this news.
Well,
Right.
that's different, that's a different issue.
That's different.
Okay.
Can the board, we can't expend resources to advocate, is this an advocate, this is simply a fact, right?
Well,
Will
the
we
press
publish
is
a
here.
letter that was received?
Well,
It's a press release. Let's give it
Yes.
a
I would get
press
advice
release
on that
Yeah,
before I take
yeah.
it.
We probably should do this.
I'll get advice, but we do have the press here today, so that's wonderful news. And,
Make sure the press has a copy of the letter.
They do.
Thank you.
and I do have a phone conference tomorrow with Ann, and I will also speak to Gary Burchell.
Can I just ask, what paper do you represent?
Voices News.
You gotta get.
I think this
to
is
one
front
where
page.
Yeah.
there's-
All right. Anything else?
Oh, yes, now as anticlimactic.
Can we adjourn?
Mrs. Gallo and Mrs. Ferrera are going to share the NEASC results, which happen to be also quite
Worth $1 million.
spectacular. Worth $1 million, yes. So, no pressure here.
Not even a little bit. Or the block of wood is, yeah, okay. I think that,
Oh, can I say one other thing?
Of course.
Just to clarify, because
Of
I
course.
forgot. Mr. Diebold is available tomorrow for the press if you call his office. He'd be happy to give a comment. So feel free, the number's on there, and we'll also share that information.
You gotta get to the Waterbury Republic,
we can do that.
please.
Yep, that'll get done. Okay, the NEASC report is certainly anticlimactic after the announcement of $1 million. However, it's also the results, to report this in one night is anticlimactic because it's the work, it's 4 years of work on the part of this learning community, and that includes students and families and community members. The NEASC report, the visit itself was an affirmation of what we do here every day. While many schools consider the visit to be a dog and pony show followed by rules and regulations, at Chippewa it's the way we live, it's the way we teach, and it's the way we learn. And that was solidly borne out by the report. Generally speaking, schools have a balanced amount of commendations and recommendations. Ours were completely imbalanced. We had twice as many commendations as we have recommendations. And nothing will come as a surprise to you, unless, of course, it's one of the people who have decided to think of this school as one that is not an excellent and rigorous and high-achieving school, because they've been proven wrong by an organization that has existed for over 100 years and accredits schools and gives the community the message that this is a school worth sending your children to. The NEASC standards, there are 7 of them. While we do not intend for this report to be comprehensive, we want to highlight some the commendations and recommendations from each standard to give you an overview, and you have the PowerPoint in front of you. The teaching standards are core values, guiding beliefs, and learning expectations. When you think of that, you can think of these posters that are apparent all over the school, that are a part of every public presentation, that are evident in every classroom. Standards related to curriculum, instruction, and assessment round out the teaching standards. And then there are support standards. How does this learning community exist? First of all, by school culture and leadership. Second of all, by school resources. And third, and in many ways very important, by community resources, which is the big part of the conversation right now. Standard 1 is core values. Core values needs to be the foundation of the school, and the committee saw that our core values, guiding beliefs, and learner outcomes are the foundation of the Chippewa learning community. And we measure what matters. School-wide analytic rubrics assess our learner outcomes, and they are clear, they're measurable, and they're aligned to our core values. So it all begins with our core values. You should also know that our analytic rubrics and the language that we use is linked to the Common Core. We do not take time to do NEASC, take time to do the standards, take time to do, they're all related. It's called good teaching, it's called best practices. Our commendations also recognize that our leadership provided a dynamic and collaborative process. The core values did not come from 2 people or 3 people or even 5 people. They came from a process that included students, faculty, families, as well as community members. The involvement of all stakeholders has resulted in core values that are alive in this learning community. Our recommendations were simply to continue the good work that we already are doing, continue to involve all stakeholders as the time comes up to revise our core values, which the recommendation is about every 5 years, so we're coming up in the next year or so. And then provide adequate time to make sure that teachers are looking at the results when we measure these learner outcomes and talk about them based on multiple data sources. Mrs. Ferreira is going to go on to the next 3 teaching and learning standards.
Good evening. I'll talk to you a little bit about curriculum instruction and assessment. With regard to curriculum, the commendations involved the vertically aligned 612 curricula that ensures all students have opportunities to achieve the learner outcomes. When they say vertically aligned 612 curricula, they mean in each discipline. So they mean that 612 English, social studies, math, world language, science, they scaffold from 6th grade up through 12 in a vertical alignment. The second commendation, the comprehensive curriculum. By curriculum, they mean whole school as a whole. The comprehensive curriculum that emphasizes inquiry, problem solving, and application of understanding in authentic situations for all students. This is probably one of the strongest commendations you can get from NEASC. Also, the leadership provided for curriculum development, monitoring, and review. The staffing, resources, technology, supplies, and materials that provide students with a comprehensive educational experience with the exception of the science labs. That is the direct statement from NEASC. Yes. Another commendation is the district's financial commitment to providing personnel, time, and professional resources for ongoing curriculum development. With regard to the recommendations for curriculum, they asked us to increase the use of standardized and local assessments and learner outcome data to inform the revision of curriculum. In other words, now that your curriculum is written, please make sure that your revisions are based on student achievement and performance, data-driven. And we will do that. They want us to complete the vertical alignment of curricula in math, health, science, music, and career and technology, which we are already doing. And they want us to standardize the expectations and rigor of the Honors Challenge. We have begun that. With regard to recommendations, they want us to develop curriculum guides that illustrate coordination between the academic areas within Chappaqua and with the elementary schools. So they would, in theory, like to see a K-12 curriculum scaffolded guide for each discipline. They want us to address the deficiencies in the science laboratories to ensure the successful delivery of a comprehensive and updated science curriculum. So that when your science curriculum is written to be inquiry-based, we have to have the facilities to allow students to do the inquiry. With regard to instruction, the accommodations were the continuous examination of instructional practices to ensure consistency with the school's core values, beliefs, and learner outcomes, the adjustment of instructional practices by teachers to meet the needs of each student by using formative assessment, differentiated instruction, purposeful groupings, and additional support in the classroom. Again, a very strong accommodation. And the next accommodation is an extremely strong one. This is a very important accommodation to get from NEASC. Instructional practices that support the school's learner outcomes by personalizing instruction, engaging students as active and self-directed learners, emphasizing inquiry, problem solving, and higher order thinking, applying knowledge and skills to authentic tasks, and engaging students in self-assessment and reflection. So as a teacher, you'll know that this pretty much sums up everything you strive for. Again, additional commendations for instruction, the commitment of the staff to remain current and continue to grow as adult learners, and instruction which supports the long-established senior project as a capstone to the Chappaqua experience and as the pinnacle of engaging students as self-directed learners. With regard to recommendations for instruction, they want us to increase opportunities for faculty to have input into in-house professional development. They want us to expand and formalize enrichment opportunities for all students in grade 6A. Now, by enrichment opportunities, they don't mean electives. What they mean is differentiated enrichment within the core academic courses for students who are already excelling. So they want enrichment opportunities in English, math, science, and social studies and world language for those students who already are above what the curriculum is offering. They want us to integrate more formal interdisciplinary learning in all subjects and grade levels. As you know, Chappaqua is very strong interdisciplinary learning with English and social studies. They would like more of that in other subjects. With regard to assessment, which is standard 4. So you have first curriculum, instruction, then assessment. The accommodations. The well-designed formal process for measuring the learner outcomes with multiple opportunities for students to demonstrate competence. The use of a variety of assessment strategies to measure student progress, including a focus on formative assessment. As a segue, I will tell you what formative assessment means is that teachers are obliged, and they do, measure the discrete skills that students learn on a daily basis before they move on to asking students to apply groups of skills and subsets of skills. So they're testing student knowledge on a daily basis through what's called formative assessment. And that is, that's a pretty commendable thing to be commended for, since formative assessment is something we just started maybe 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago. Additional commendations for assessment, the collaborative nature of the school staff to identify and respond to individual student needs. Again, we're very proud of that because that commendation occurred in 2 areas, instruction and assessment now, that we meet individual student needs. The use of district and state assessments to make data-driven decisions. The alignment of the grading pyramid with the learner outcomes and the consistent use of the grading pyramid throughout the school. The grading pyramid simply means this, that teachers have formative, interim, and summative assessments in every marking period, and it's a skill thread. So they don't give interims until the students show they know the discrete skills through formatives. Then they test subsets of skills through interims. They don't give the summatives until the students show they know the subsets of skills through the interim. So it's a skill thread that goes up the ladder, and the weighting is always transparent to the student. So formative maybe counts for 30% of your grade, interim for 35% of your grade, and summative for the remainder. So the students always know what the weighting is in each course, and they know what the skill thread is. And so that's what NIASC liked to see. With regard to recommendations for assessment, they want us to formalize the analysis of whole school progress in achieving the learner outcomes and communicate this progress to the school community. They want us to collect and analyze alumni data and feedback to inform decisions regarding revision of curriculum and instructional practices. In other words, your students that went off to university or college, what did they struggle with? What did they excel at? What do they think we should do? So they want us to be stronger in collecting alumni data. Additional recommendations, ensure teachers at all grade levels collaborate regularly on the creation and analysis of formative, interim, and summative assessments. I just explained that to you with the pyramid, including common assessments. So what NIASC wants and what we do is that for all like courses, so if there's 3 physics courses, or if there's 3 Algebra 1 courses, the summative assessments given in each course, regardless of who the teacher is, are the same. So that's what a common assessment is. So it ensures equity. Ensure that all students receive specific and corrective feedback. By specific and corrective, they mean they want it through individual conferences, they want it in writing. So they want the specific and corrective feedback to be multiple modalities. I'm going to let Mrs. Gallo round out the walls out. So curriculum instruction and assessment is what we call the walls in indicators, and the rest are the walls out indicators.
We begin with school culture and leadership. Our commendations were very strong. And I want to stress that when we talk about school culture and leadership, you're not talking about me. You're talking about all of the leadership that happens in this building, from students to faculty to the administration. All the opportunities where people are given the opportunity to lead, to make that a teaching and learning moment in their careers, whether they be a student or a professional. Chappaq is known for its safe, nurturing, and welcoming climate, and that is provided by all stakeholders, including the ones sitting at these tables. And the equitable learning community that is ensured through heterogeneous grouping across the disciplines. We talk a lot about heterogeneous grouping and what that means. We realize that it provides a challenge for reaching those gifted students in classrooms. However, what it ensures is that all students are exposed to rich teaching. There is not a classroom in the school where students are not expected to strive, where they're not expected to be pushed. That is a very strong commendation, and it should be, because it does represent best practice. You'll notice as we go through these that there is some repetition, and that repetition is very important because it's the things that we value the most in education. Equity, personalizing education, reaching all students, and ensuring that what we're doing provides the best environment for students to learn. Our recommendations are to implement a protocol to review and revise the advisory program. We look at the advisory program and we make changes. We need a formal protocol to make sure that we're looking at that on a regularly scheduled basis. And to solicit stakeholder feedback regarding core values, guiding beliefs, and learner outcomes, to continue to do that. Standard 6 of the community resource. Standard 6 is not community resources. It's school resources. Staff commitment to respond to parent. Well, our commendations are the staff commitment to respond to parent communication within 2 school days. That was our parent feedback goal 2 years ago, and it remains the same. We publicize it and talk about it as often as we can because we want parents to know that just because it was our goal 2 years ago, it still applies now. And parents are welcome to hold us to that standard. Appropriate caseloads for student support, which is counseling services, coordinated health services, and a well-equipped library that fully supports the needs of our school. Multiple ways for students to gain academic support at Chappaq, and that is through advisory, National Honor Society peer tutors, after-school tutoring with teachers and a late bus, reading and math labs. I can tell you that when I talk about those features at our school, whether it be with the NAS committee or at conferences around the state, I'm met with a lot of envy. And I applaud the board for continuing to provide those expensive resources that continue to make our school better. The recommendations are to use relevant assessment data and feedback from the school community to continually improve school counseling services and library media services. How do we reach out to the public to let them know, to let students know, to let families know that we want to always be improving? And to ensure that the library media staff are engaged in curriculum development. We've done a lot of curriculum development, and we want to ensure that all of the resources are brought to bear on that process. Commendations, the ongoing commitment to funding that supports a wide variety of academic and extracurricular opportunities. This board continues to support a well-rounded, enriching school. And long-term budget planning to ensure maintenance and repair. What we're doing in the mall right now, what we're doing to ensure that these repairs get made. These are not small things. This is a board that looks to creative funding sources. Ensure that lab facilities adequately support inquiry-based instruction. That's the first and most important recommendation, and to look further at some of the maintenance issues that we continue to improve upon. The lab facilities that right now are in sore need of revision became a sticking point on this report. And that's very important to highlight. It's very important to understand that adequate facilities do have an impact on teaching and learning, and that they will continue to come up in professional publications such as these. This is a very important point. I think that the board, I know that this board should be commended for the creative funding sources you've used. I know that this board should be commended for the fact that in the last 3 years, plans have come into place that have met with lots of resistance, lots of concerns, a little bit of shouting. This board has maintained and stayed on course with what is best for this school. It is not a coincidence that we were commended for our efforts to look forward into the future through the grant proposal for the 20th Ag STEM program in Connecticut. That's not a coincidence, and it's something for which I applaud the board, and I also thank you, because the thought of bringing this school into the next generation with stability is a blessing in my career that I will never, ever forget. And I sincerely hope that everything that Dr. Cosentino and I, as well as many other people on my staff, have done to bring this plan forward will come to fruition next week. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm certain we all feel the same way, and thank you for all your work. Is there any questions for Kim or Lori? Michelle?
Well, this is, what, NEASC reviews come every 10 years, right?
That's
So
right,
we-
the semiannual evaluation, yes.
Right, so just procedural wise, I mean, it's,
Well,
Yeah.
can I just add one thing?
sure,
As far as the recommendations go, we have to answer to all of them in 2 years.
okay.
So even though they don't come for 10, we have to have the recommendations resolved in 2. or have
There's a
plans in
2-year
place.
report, a 5-year report, and then you start into the cycle towards 10 years again.
If you read page 88 of the NEAS report, it has the follow-up responsibilities, and that's really important to share, I think, with community and stakeholders. A school's initial continued accreditation is based on satisfactory progress implementing valid. So we do have that. We are going to be accredited for another 10 years. But they want us to be continued in the accreditation. Valid recommendations of the visiting committee and others identify the commission as it monitors the school progress, and changes will occur at the school throughout the decennial cycle. To monitor the school's progress, you must submit a 2-year and a 5-year progress report. By the time the 5-year progress report is submitted, school officials are expected to have completed or be in the final stages of completion of all valid visiting committee recommendations. So I think I just want to reiterate that you cannot just say, oh, nice, those are the recommendations. It's our job now to work on those recommendations, and in the 2-year report, we have to show this is what we've done, and in the 5-year report, we have to show this is what we've done. So it's very important that those science labs are addressed, and that's one of the reasons why we are so fortunate to have them included in the referendum next week, because it's going to address a problem that we have to address. Whether or not we become an Ag STEM Academy or not, we have to address those issues. And although the science number can be, tweaked a little bit, as we said at a public hearing, the science number is lower than what it would be because a lot of the soft costs are in the Ag STEM program. So we just need to be cognizant of that we are responsible for this building and those science labs. And, we have to, as educators, Kim and I, have to give
Substantive change reports.
substantive changes. And so if we do not move on this, we have to let NEAS know, and it can affect our accreditation. So I think it's really important. I'm so pleased, I just want to say to the staff and Kim and Maury, did a fabulous job preparing for the visit. We're very fortunate. They are both chair people on other teams, so they know the process, they know what they're looking for, they know best practices. But we now have to do our job. We have to address certain things that have come up. Thank you for letting me speak.
Well, the basic question is, are we accredited the next 10 years, or what is the final, when I went through the 80 some odd pages, I kept wanting to get to the end point.
You do that with novels as well.
Mhm.
The vote
Yes.
has already occurred, and we are to be accredited. We will get the official notification. That comes in a separate letter. The report is the report, because that is to memorialize all of the data that the committee found in the visit and in the reports and so forth. The official letter of accreditation will come in the next week or two.
And it is the final imprimatur
That's right.
done deal. Great. Congratulations and thank you so much.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you.
Thank you.
That's my report. I'm done. $1,000,000.
Easy done.
You should be doing a dance after, maybe when we adjourn. Get $1,000,000 jig.
Committee reports. Agri science steering, Anthony, is there anything to report? Nothing to report. Education, Sean? Nothing to report? Okay. Education connection? Facilities, Mr. Cobb, anything?
Yeah, I just want to point out that one of the most persnickety problems in the air conditioning thing, and heating and air conditioning systems in the school, with the classroom here, that for years have just absolutely, that problem since NEAS has been here has been solved. So I'm pleased to report we have made progress on one of the NEAS items.
Good. Anything else?
And it was solved only by sending somebody to climb up into the ceiling and find what was wrong.
Anything else?
No, nothing else. We'll be having a meeting.
Finance, Valerie?
We met prior to this meeting, and I'm happy to report that as of October 23rd, we have $1.1 million remaining in the budget that has not been spent or encumbered, or 5.2%, which is tracking in our usual fashion, October to October. There were no particular issues as we went through the object codes, and we have a presentation of the 1% capital reserve fund, which stands at a balance available of $293,000 at the stage and change. We went through a few of the open items on that 1% fund, the capital expenditures. For the most part, most of these have been completed but not yet billed or billed completely. So we are in good shape with that. And then we did a reconciliation of the, basically the lease fund, we call it, with an available balance of $100,000 and change in that. And there'll be an item on the agenda to advance money out of the 1% funds for an elementary school need. We will not be going through the lease money for that particular item. Bob has wonderfully, with his consortium, set propane pricing, diesel fuel pricing, and heating oil pricing. We are set at a tantalizing $1.97 per gallon for heating oil, $2 and change less, well, $2.05 for diesel fuel, and propane at $1.39. So these are great, and we will reap the benefits of this economy. And there was also a presentation of the legislative study of cooperatives between boards of ed that Bob leads, and is basically the consortium in which he can make these types of pricing commitments and save us money. And that is it.
Thank you, Valerie. Is there any questions for Valerie?
That is
fund is fully committed at the present time.
It's basically the 1% fund, that, it seems like there were only, I don't know how many, only 2 have been completed, but it's also a billing issue too. So, yeah, we just need some coordination on what we know that's in our wallet versus what has to be spent, or things that just are not done or not completed yet for one reason or
All right,
another.
we'll get you an update on that.
All right. Bob, thank you for your work on the school. Great news, 197.
Yeah, crazy.
All right. Okay. Long-range planning, Alan is not here. Negotiations, Greg?
Nothing to report, we're not negotiating.
All right. Policies and bylaws, Michelle? We have some policies and,
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
It's okay.
that's all right.
Yes, we have several policies.
All right, well, why don't we move on to that then, old business, if you don't mind. 7.1, second reading, 411, 2.6, personnel records, Michelle?
Anyway, yes, so personnel records, this is, everything here is as it was presented for the first reading, so I'll just start with that. All of the new language is highlighted, and the legal references that required the update are also highlighted, so.
Michelle, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off before in the community reports. Did you have something you wanted to report on
Okay,
policy?
I can save it for next month.
Say it now.
You're gonna run out early. All I wanted to do was thank Teresa DeBrito, who has done a fabulous job of finding all of the recent laws and keeping us on track and up to date with that. It's frustrating to me that the state passes so many of these because we can't seem to get
Nothing
through our
else to do.
audit. Well, it's crazy. We can't. I don't know how anybody can keep their policies up to date because the minute we get it updated, they've changed it. We can't even get to the backlog of what we're supposed to. It's really become incredibly cumbersome. And I don't know. Every year I go to the CAVE conference and ask them about it, and everybody's throws their hands up and says, "Oh, we don't know what to do." So
Well,
anyway,
I
just wanted
appreciate
to
the
say-
fact that as chair that you're pursuing the matter and you're keeping this on it, so thank you, Teresa. All right, so, I'm sorry, but back to 7.1, 411, 2.6.
Yes, Mark.
Now,
I'd like to make a motion to adopt certified personnel certified/non-certified 411 2.6A and 4212.6 for a second reading.
Second.
all right, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Any abstain? All right, it passes. Thank you, Michelle. 7.2, second reading policy 5125, student records.
Yes, this is a confidentiality. Again, everything that's the same as it was for the first reading. Everything that's been highlighted is new language, and again, the laws that required these updates have been highlighted at the end of the policy.
Move to accept as a second reading.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? All right, it passes. Thank you, Michelle. 7.3, second reading policy 5145.511, sexual abuse of prevention and education program.
Right, this has no highlighted language because it is an entirely new policy. It is the same policy that we brought forward in the first reading. And it is, just so you know, that it is a prevention and education program. So it's an educational component that needs to be included.
All right. Is there a motion?
So move for second reading.
Is there a second? All right, Emily seconds. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Any abstain? All right, that passes. Thank you. Moving on to item 8, new business. 8.1, to consider and appropriately establish graduation date for Chicago class of 2016. Dr. Costello.
Yes, it's time of year where we set the date, and that would be June 11th, 2016, using 10 a.m. on the Chappaq grounds.
So, Greg.
I move that we establish the graduation date for the class of 2016 of June 11, 2016.
Second.
All right, it's moved in second, Jen seconded it. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Any abstaining? And it passes. That's the graduation date, June 11, 2016. 8.2, to consider and if appropriate, authorize expenditure from the 1% capital reserve fund not to exceed $15,000 to replace a boiler at Booth Free School as recommended by the Facilities Committee. Mr. Fowler, can you speak to this?
Yeah, I'd actually like to ask Mr. O'Leary to give us an update on precisely why this came up and why it's necessary to replace this boiler at this time.
The 1980s vintage boiler.
I'm sorry, Don.
I've been here 6 years, and the 1980s vintage boiler has been leaking every year that I started up. This year, it leaked even worse than it's ever leaked. We were able to stop it, but it may not make it through the winter. These are suction type boilers. This one has 9 sections. Because of its age, it would probably be practically impossible to take it apart and assume that we could put it all back together and not have something else go and break on it. The boiler that we're buying is an 87% efficient Italian-made Breezy boiler with a very good oil burner. So right now, the tip in the existing boiler is running at 10 gallons an hour. This one will run at 4. So the addition will actually pay for itself over a little bit of time. We may defer it until Christmas break or even later if we can. We're not going to do it if we absolutely don't have to. Right now, we've managed to get it to stop.
Well, if the weather keeps cooperating, might have to turn it on for Christmas break.
So, Don, you're recommending that we replace the boiler?
Yes, sir.
You know, 15,000 is the whole job then?
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Chairman,
I'm sorry,
we're
I'm
recommending.
sorry, if I may. Why would you wait? If it broke down at Christmas time or something?
Because there'll be a considerable amount of work having to be done in the small area of the boiler room, and the heat will have to be shut down for about a day.
You do it now? I mean, I don't know.
There are 2 boilers in the system right now, and it's a redundant system, so either one of them could take the school through the winter time.
I see. I'm sorry, Greg.
No,
No, I was going to say that the reason we're recommending this be from the 1% capital fund is because the elementary school lease fund is basically completely spoken for. It's all been covered. And we don't have another amount to it until next year, so hence the difference.
The one that you're talking about replacing failed, get through a cold, let's say it was a very cold snap, you can get through it.
yes. We should be okay if the one failed, but it is a 1980s vintage boiler
Well, that's what I'm
too.
saying, you
Right.
make the decision, but
Right.
worst case decision, in a worst case situation, if you have 5 days of 0 weather and it failed, maybe you should replace it now, but that's up to you. Michelle?
I would just say the same. It seems that if we're going to spend the money, the sooner, we may as well do it now and achieve the efficiency and do it when it's convenient for you, not in an emergency situation. Go ahead and have it shipped, schedule the work, wait for a day the students aren't there, instead of trying to eke out another couple months on a leaking boiler.
That's why I said that I may replace it during Christmas break or so. We're going to look for a good window to do that. And as everything lines up to that, we will do it.
All right, thank you. Is there a motion?
So moved. Second, out of the 1% fund.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to authorize an expenditure for the 1% capital reserve fund not to exceed $15,000 to replace a boiler at Booth Free School as recommended by the Facilities Committee. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Any abstaining? It passes. So thank you. Thank you, Don, for bringing that to our attention. Is there anything else? Motion to adjourn?
We have public? No, we didn't have public.
Yes, we did.
Sorry, no public.
We're going to dance a jig, but is there any motion to adjourn?
Motion, so moved.
All those in favor say aye. Thank you.